Hello, and welcome to Kevin's E39. We're going to jump right into it. I'm starting disassembly to get to my timing chain and timing guides. If you saw my unboxing video, I had a clip of how my car was sounding. Now I'm going to try and tackle the job, and here we go. Okay, and you can see I'm already starting off with my intake filter and airbox. To get this started, I'm using a flathead screwdriver and a 10mm socket. With the screwdriver, I loosen the clamps from the rest of the intake manifold and remove them from the plenum. Now time to loosen the upper plenum, which is held down by 15 cap nuts. Now two of the plenum cap nuts are a bit inaccessible. I'm going to go ahead and remove the cabin air filters and the manifold to free up some space. Now with the upper plenum off, I'm greeted by the velocity stacks. Before I can get the lower plenum loose, the velocity stacks are secured to the throttle bodies with 2 nuts each. They're 8mm. A magnet is really useful to retrieve the hardware once they're loose. Also worth mentioning that before removing the velocity stacks, I label them with a paint marker. With the velocity stacks out of my way now, the lower plenum is secured by approximately 33 10mm bolts. After breaking them loose with hand tools, I picked up an electric impact with socket attachment to help speed things up. Prior to pulling the lower plenum, just making sure that all the PCV hoses are disconnected. Now I've already removed the fan, but unfortunately I didn't get a good shot of it. I've already undone the hose to the expansion tank along with the temperature and level sensor, and I'm working it out of the engine bay. Under the expansion tank, there's a hose that runs from it to the top of the radiator. It should loosen it and it should come free. The radiator is secured by 2 bolts on the top on the left and right side. The upper and lower hoses can stay on the radiator, but you must be careful maneuvering the radiator out, as the hoses want to catch on the AC and power steering lines. I probably should have done this earlier, but now I'm heading back to the top of the engine to get the ignition coils out. The ignition coils sit under the beauty covers, and each coil is secured by 2 10mm nuts. The connection to the coil is a tab that is pulled upwards and slide the connection off. Once all coils are out, move the harness to the side, being careful not to bend or catch any wires. Now onto the valve covers. They're pretty straightforward. You just remove all of the hardware and pull the valve cover off. Now if you have a socket that swivels, it will definitely help you, or even a ratcheting wrench that flexes. As you can see, the ABS unit is right there, making it harder for you to get turns in. Definitely would recommend that swivel-headed socket. As you can see, I used my flathead screwdriver to give me a little bit of leverage to try and pry the valve cover off. And as I'm pulling it off, I'm being very careful because at the most rear of the engine, the camshaft has fins. These fins are used to track the position of the camshaft, so I want to be careful and not hit those. Now I just do the same thing on the driver's side, but on the driver's side we have the positive terminal. This wire is just done in one nut. Loosen it, pull it to the side. Okay, and I'm having some trouble removing the driver's side valve cover. It looks like the oil filter housing is in my way, so I'm going to go ahead and loosen it and just tuck it to the side. Now you can't see it from this angle, but also on that side are two electrical contactors. I decided I'm not going to loosen those, and I'm just going to try and maneuver it as best as I can, still watching out for those fins. Now, finally I can see some progress. The damaged portion of the timing chain guide has worked its way up to the top of the timing chain. Here's a little look at it, and we're going to continue in part 2 because this video is getting a little long.